أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ويل لكل همزة لمزة الذي جمع مالا وعدده يحسب أن ماله أخلده كلا لينبذن في الحطمة وما أدراك ما الحطمة نار الله الموقدة التي تطلع على الأفئدة إنها عليهم مؤصدة في عمد ممددة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألم تر كيف فعل ربك بأصحاب الفيل ألم يجعل كيدهم في تضليل وأرسل عليهم طيرا أبابيل ترميهم بحجارة من سجيل فجعلهم كعصف مأكول. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لإيلاف قريش إيلافهم رحلة الشتاء والصيف فليعبدوا رب هذا البيت الذي أطعمهم من جوع وآمنهم من خوف. Today inshallah we're going to be doing the tafseer of a few of the surahs. Surah Al-Asr, Surah Al-Humaza, Surah Al-Feel and Surah Al-Quraish. And all of them are very beautiful surahs, and of course they have a lot of lessons associated with them. The first surah is of course Surah Al-Asr, and it's mentioned about this surah in a riwayat of Tabrani that the Ashabul Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the companions of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, whenever they used to sit in any majlis, in any gathering, they would not leave that gathering until they had recited Surah Al-Asr. Okay, so it was part of every gathering. Whenever any gathering used to take place, it was part of that gathering. Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah, he said a very famous quote about this surah. He said, لو تدبر الناس هذه سورة لوسعتهم. That if people, they did tadabbur, it's لو تدبر الناس هذه سورة لوسعتهم. If people, they pondered over this surah, then this surah would be sufficient for them. It's such a powerful surah that it encompasses everything that every human would need in terms of lessons and advice that a person could ever hope for and seek in the whole of the Quran. It is sufficient in this surah. So this is a very famous quote of Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah. So we're going to do the tafseer of the surah and learn those lessons inshallah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, wal asr, I swear by the time. I swear by the time. And this is again a very powerful oath that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taken. Time that never stands still for anybody. Time about which, scientists like Einstein and the most powerful minds of history have pondered into time, into quantum physics, and the issue of relativity and all of the rest of the things that we know are famous in scientific circles. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He swears by that time. And He takes an oath, He says, I swear by time. And then immediately He takes the Jawab al-Qasam, He gives the Jawab al-Qasam, the response to the oath, Innal insana lafi khusr. Indeed, all humanity is indeed khusr, is at a loss. So what is the connection between the Qasam and the Jawab al-Qasam? There are, two possible interpretations of this. First of all, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says that the human being is at a loss. The word khusr, it actually refers to a person who's doing a trade, a business, and he is at a loss while doing that trade or business. This is what it means when a person is at a loss. So what we can understand from this, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given the human being the commodity of time. The material, the capital of time, the human being has been given. Now if he uses that time wisely, then he will not be at a loss. But if he wastes that time, then he will be at a loss. So this is the connection. And the example of that is to understand, back home in India and Pakistan we have people who sell ice on the street. Okay, they don't have kind of refrigerated trucks and stuff like we do here. So if a person is selling ice on the street, there's a very limited amount of time that he can sell that ice and make money out of it. So this is exactly the example that we can understand of a human being either benefiting from his life or wasting his life. That ice that the person has, that life that the person has been given, is melting away slowly, 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 slowly. And if a person benefits from that, then he will be successful, and if he does not benefit from that, then he will be unsuccessful. The other understanding is that if we look at history, we look at all of the people that came before us, the nations, the great nations, the superpowers that ruled over various countries, and they had money, they had palaces and everything, but time did not wait for them. And despite the fact that they had so much power and everything, we look back and those people were at a loss. So when we reflect upon them, we reflect upon time, we reflect upon history, we reflect upon the previous nations that came in times before us. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by taking an oath of time, He is telling us, pay attention to that time that has gone before you, and do not make the same mistakes that those people who lost out, they made mistakes. Don't make those same mistakes. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He swears by the time and He says, Innal insana lafi khusr. All of humanity is in a loss. And the word al-insan, okay, if you look at it linguistically, you'll find, if you are not familiar with the Arabic language, you'll think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying about just one human being, because al-insan means one human. But the reality is that in Arabic you get the alif lam in front of nouns, and that alif lam sometimes it gives the meaning of istighraq. Istighraq means it encompasses all of the things that are mentioned underneath that alif lam. So in this case, al-insan, even though the word is an individual or singular, but in reality it means all of humanity is at a loss. Okay, so the understanding, again, we can look at how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has, in a very beautiful manner, made us understand something. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could have just said, if you want to be successful, you have to do this, this, this and this. That would have given the message, and we would have understood what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us, that you have to do this, this, this and this to be successful. But the way that Allah has brought this surah, He has negated everything first. He has negated all of humans first, and then after negating all of them, then He brings out from those that are successful. And by doing that, He basically limits only the success to those people that are mentioned in the verses that are following this. So if a person, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was to say, for example, if a person has iman, if he does good deeds and he does tawasi bil haqq, he does tawasi bil sabr, he's going to be successful. Okay, that's fine. But there's still the possibility that lingers, that maybe those people that are a little bit lax in that, they could be successful also. But by bringing the verse in such a way that negating the success of all of those humanity, all of the humanity first, He basically says, no, only those people that are following this, they will be successful. Other than that,